failure is not your identity. Failure is an outcome that you didn't expect, and that's it. Failure is not who you are. It's not who you become. It is merely an outcome that you didn't expect. This making peace with the facts is simply an acknowledgement and an assessment of your current state of reality, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm a big believer in jumping and figuring it out on the way down the mountain. You have to set some intentions and get clarity around what you want before you can ever get help from a coach or a mentor and get a plan of action. If you are itching to do something special in this world, as an entrepreneur, in a business, the world is waiting for your offer. The world is waiting for your clarity. So picture this, you're in maybe your late 30s, your mid 40s, maybe even your early to mid 50s, and you've spent 20 years becoming an expert in your field. You're respected, you're accomplished, you're someone that people look up to in your current field, but something seems to be missing. It's the entrepreneurial itch that just won't go away. It sound familiar? Another way to look at it is you're successful in what you do in your corporate job, in your career path that you've been on for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and you're feeling frustrated, like there's something more. You're feeling, in a way, underappreciated. You're feeling like, I know there's more for me. Well, over the last few months, I've had numerous conversations with people just like this. And these are brilliant people, brilliant minds, years of experience, but a common thread sits with all of them. And that is they're being held back by doubt, by fear, and by uncertainty. And today, we're going to change that. By the end of this episode, if you are one of those people, it's going to be my privilege and my pleasure, and hopefully my promise, to take you through what my clients would normally pay for in a consultation on how to make this transition and start to live the dream, to go after what you want, and stop settling for less. Hi, my friend. My name is Darrell Evans, and I am the host of the Mindshift podcast, the founder of Mindshift Growth Partners, and a digital marketing agency called Yokel Local. And if this is your first time here, welcome. If I've just described you, sit tight. I've got a lot more in store. If this topic or this intro isn't you, I want you to listen to this episode from a perspective of what it is in your life that you're doubtful of, fearful of, or uncertain about. But I want to address the elephant in the room as we get started. And that is, why is transition so hard in the first place, right? We're here to talk about transition, right? Over my 34 years as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that there is nothing short or nothing unavailable today in understanding the practical steps of making the shift to what it is that we want. The fundamentals are there. The steps are there. The YouTube videos are there. The online courses are there. The mentors are there. The incubators are there. The talent is there. The partners are there. But today we're here to talk about a fundamental shift in identity. And there's something I've said over the years, and a lot of people hear this and they don't exactly know what I mean. So I'm going to explain it here before we dive deeply into it. So many of us think that we're afraid of failure. We're afraid of the uncertainty, or we're caught up in doubting ourselves. And what I've learned over the years, my friend, is that what we are really dealing with is a shift in our fundamental identity. One thing I'd love for you to write down, if you're at a place where you can write something down right now, and this is something I've had to go through and grow through over the last 30 some odd years, and in my entrepreneurial journey. Let me be clear, it's not been all good. It's never all as good as it seems on the outside. And here's one thing I'll start you with, and that is, even if something doesn't go your way and you are willing to or want to or in the past have assigned the word failure to that thing, hear me clearly when I say this. Failure is not your identity. Failure is an outcome that you didn't expect, and that's it. Failure is not who you are. It's not who you become. It is merely an outcome that you didn't expect. Maybe you've been a senior marketing leader in corporate America, or an engineer, a physicist, a teacher, an accomplished musician. But for some reason, you're struggling to make the switch from that quote unquote identity to entrepreneur or business owner or consultant. And it feels like maybe in some ways you're putting someone else's clothes on that are not fitting for you. It feels uncomfortable. It feels unfamiliar. And I get it. It can feel scary. But the question is that scary feeling real or imagined? Right? There are certain things in life that present real threat and real danger. Jump out of a plane jump out of a flying airplane without a parachute. That's real fear. However, if it's just a matter of us changing a career or stepping into the unknown, one of the things we're going to talk about in just a moment is how to accurately assess your next step, right? Here's the truth. The clothes that you choose to put on are your clothes, no matter how you define them, right? So you've been an expert in your field. You've been accomplished as a corporate leader in whatever those fields are. I don't want to go down the whole list of them, but let me be clear. They're your clothes. Those are your accomplishments. You've earned them, and you don't need nobody's permission to wear them. You don't need nobody's permission to wear what you've done up until this point. And so often I think that we find that when we believe or think about making that transition, that we're stepping into a place where we're going to be judged. We're going to be graded on our past experiences, our past successes, our past leadership, our past talks, our past awards, our past accomplishments. But that's where what I'm going to get into right now is where the Mindshift method comes in. The Mindshift method, if you're new to it, you can listen to the original episode, which is episode 31 on this show that I recorded during the pandemic, the first 30 days or 45 days into the pandemic. You can hear me articulate the concepts for the first time on this show. And during that time, mind you, our digital marketing agency was faced with the circumstances of the shutdown, the lockdown. But in our agency at that time, the lion's share of our clients were local businesses who were all told that they could not do the work. So I won't go back to episode 31, but I want to talk about the 4 steps in the Mindshift method today and apply them to this discussion today about just starting if you're moving from an expert to an entrepreneur. Step number 1, make peace with the facts. Step number 2, make a decision. Make a decision. Step number 3 is make a plan. Step number 4 is make it happen. 4 very simple in theory steps. However, extremely powerful in practice. Extremely powerful in practice. Let's break them down. What does it mean to make peace with the facts? So often we are in a situation where we're about to do things we're not sure of. We're about to do things that are out of our league. We're about to do things that are stepping into the unknown. We're about to do things where we will now be perhaps confronted with judgment, ridicule, and questioning, even from those that love us the most. Things like, why are you going to do that? Why would you leave your 30-year career, baby, and risk all your health insurance and da 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 da, right? But let me be clear. Making peace with the facts is a situational assessment of your own personal honesty and willingness to jot down and get clear on your strengths, your weaknesses, and where you are in relationship to the demand for your expertise that you're looking to start in your own business, as well as assessing other things like, where am I at financially? What resources and network do I have around me? What don't I have? What would I like, etc. It's really just an assessment. But oftentimes when I say make peace with the facts, we have to deal with the emotions of those facts. For example, one of the people that I was talking to, they were extremely frustrated in their current reality. Extremely frustrated. And listen to me, I've been there. I remember in 1993 or 4 or 5, in that little window, busting my tail and not feeling as though I was getting the due credit. I can think of scenarios, even in business, where we have worked for clients and done things for clients and gone above and beyond the call of duty and not gotten what we thought what we were owed or what we were due. This making peace with the facts is simply an acknowledgement and an assessment of your current state of reality, good, bad, or indifferent. However, what we don't want to do is sugarcoat or make it over harsh or over dramatized either. We just have to observe and accept. Observe and accept. There may be things going on. Let me be clear. There are certain things in life that are extremely emotional and extremely painful. I know, because that is the birth of the Mindshift method. It was my own life. It was my own personal circumstances that birthed this method that has allowed me to navigate what I call the journey from inspiration to realization. And when life knocks us down, from breakdown to breakthrough. The reality is, you have to just take a good assessment. And that self-assessment can't be really done by anyone else but you. I remember in 2008 or 9, as I was at the end of my desire. I was not at the end of my career at that time. I was at the end of my desire for the career. Hear me when I say that. I was at the end of my desire for that career. I was in a place where I'm like, there has got to be more to what I'm doing than what I'm doing. There's got to be more than what I'm currently experiencing. And let me be clear, the money was good. Everything, there was nothing on the outside looking in, short of an economic situation in 2008 in the real estate lending market. Those of you who know what that is, you know what that is. But those were extenuating circumstances. My desire came to an end. And it took me doing a self-assessment about what it was that I was good at, what it was that I was not good at, what it was that I desired in my life. Making peace with the facts is assessing where you are and assessing where the gaps lie, and detach yourself from the emotion. It doesn't mean the emotion is not there. It doesn't mean you can change your situation necessarily tomorrow, but it does mean let's just get practical and clear on where we stand today. Step 2, it's time to make a new decision. You cannot change anything in your life without making a new decision. And here's what's interesting about the word decision. The root word decide means to cut off, to cut off. So many people make what I call wishy-washy decisions. If you've been around the show at all, you hear me say that phrase. When I say cut off, when we say to decide, it means to decide what we're going to do and cut off alternative options. Okay. This is a very tough situation for most people because so often we're waiting around for the perfect moment. We're waiting around for the right circumstances, the right people, the right economy, the right interest rate cycle, the right inflation cycle, the right salary requirement. We're waiting for a green light, maybe from the universe, or we're waiting to hear from God. I'm not belittling any of those theoretical reasons, but here's the secret. There is no right moment. There is no perfect moment. There's only now. Right now is your current reality. And if you want to move to a new one, you've got to make a decision. I hear debate in this comment, but I'm going to make it anyway. And here's the thing. I'm not saying the way I did it was the right way or the only way. What I'm going to say is I hear far too many people talking about side hustle. Start your dream as a side hustle. Start your dream from 9 p.m. at night until 2 a.m. Keep your main job and just do it on the side. I was talking to a guy about 5 years ago who was following that advice. And I found out that his side hustle had been, I'm not making fun of this situation, but I've seen it all too much. Here he was in his cush corporate situation, and the side hustle had been being planned for 14 years. So here's what my recommendation is. When you make that new decision, put a date on it, when it's going to be live and in the market and when you're going to make the transition. Okay. I'm not against getting started part-time while you do your full-time, but put some deadlines, put some goals, put some things in reality, and put your back against the wall. You know what I've learned over the years? It's so funny how when you have a deadline and there is no other option, how you perform, how you think through things, how you act, which are the next two steps in the process. I'm a big believer in jumping and figuring it out on the way down the mountain. I'm not saying jump out of an airplane with no parachute, but I believe in each of us, we have the resources, we have the fortitude. And if I'm talking to the person I think I'm talking to, you've been successful through adversity your entire career. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten there. Who am I talking to right now? Who am I talking to? I'm talking to you. Am I right or am I right? You've been through some things. Put some deadlines on it. Decide. And let's make it happen. Right? Step 3. You got to have a plan. But I was talking to one of the people, for example, and I said, I'm not the biggest business plan guy, because too often we're laying out business plans and they've got these grandiose ideas and these big aspirations and these big visions. And because we leave that place of planning, which comes after the decision, that we start doing things that, hold us back. It just allows us to procrastinate. It allows us to get caught up in paralysis of analysis, talking to too many people about the ideas and the thoughts and the plans and the goals, but it's your vision. I was talking to someone just 2 days ago at lunch, a young entrepreneur. And I was like, you can't talk to too many people about your vision because God gave it to you. So trying to explain your vision to someone else that God didn't give it to, it doesn't often work out as well. So you got to be careful when you sit there doing all this planning. But the plan that I like to share with you, and this has been the most effective thing for me in my journey, and that is decide what I want to do after I've made peace with the facts, and then find someone, a group, an organization, but find a mentor, a coach, a guide who has done the thing that you're trying to do, that you've decided to do, get as close to that person as possible, paying them, buying their program, or whatever that looks like, and do exactly what they say. There's enough programs, there's enough mentors, there's enough coaches, there's all sorts of resources. But so often we just keep planning to plan. We plan to do it. We plan to do it. I'll do it next week. I'll do it tomorrow. Listen, I'm not feeling great today, y'all. You can hear it in my voice if you listen to this show. But I was so fired up about this topic. And today is podcast recording day. It is on the schedule. So there's no excuse not to show up. I'm perfectly fine to push this off tomorrow. I could. But the goal is to do the work when the work is supposed to be done, right? So often we get mentorship, we get guidance. And I used to take all of these meetings over the years, and I had to bring it to a stop. Because when people met with me, they would get the information and they would go off and do nothing. And then they would call back 6 months later, or email back 3 months later and say, hey, can I jump on your calendar? I'm like, tell me what you've done since we talked. Oh, well, I didn't do that, but I want to talk to you about this. No. I have a philosophy. If you take one step, I'll take two. But if you don't take the next step to catch up, I'm out. There's too many people to help. I work with action takers, and that's who I'm talking to. You wouldn't have been successful for 20 years, 15 years, 10 years if you didn't take action, which is going to be our next step. But listen, the plan isn't about perfection. The plan isn't about every step. The plan isn't about every adversity or contingency. It's about getting started. In the software industry, they call it a minimum viable product. In my marketing world, we call it a minimum viable plan. If you're in operations management, it's a minimum viable process, right? We've got minimum viable everything in my world because I believe in lean thinking so that we can take the action on a hypothesis and get some results and iterate where necessary. Notice I use the word iterate. If something doesn't work, it's not a failure. It just didn't go as we thought it would. So we iterate. I played sports growing up. Many of you know I coached sports for many, many years, youth sports. If you just look into the arena of sports, any of them, whichever is your liking or choosing, that's all professional athletes can do. That's all athletes can do at any level. That's all coaches can do at any level. Come up with a plan, come up with a methodology, practice to the playbook, start the game, see how it goes, make adjustments along the way, and figure out if for that day you win, lose, or draw. Go back to the playing field, go back to the drawing board, get ready for the next competition. Rarely in life do the biggest superstars on the planet get through without failure or adversity. Step number 4, bring us home, is making it happen. I've already alluded to it, right? This is where the rubber meets the road. You've already been good at taking action for your entire life. You've been good at doing it for someone else. You've been good at clocking in at 9, staying till 5. You've been good at clocking in at 9, staying and working till 8. You've been good clocking in at 9 and giving up your PTO, giving up your vacations. You've been good at helping the company reach its goals and objectives. You've been good at turning around profit from negative this to positive that. And yet you're still unsettled. Taking action for yourself is the next breakthrough waiting for you. It's not about inconsistent. It's not about, you can't be sometimesy about it. You've got to decide, you've got to get the plan, and you've got to go to work. And most importantly, I believe you've got to set non-negotiable days and times, especially if you're in corporate, non-negotiable days and times to do the work that the work is supposed to be done. This day is a podcast day. It's not negotiable. There are very few occasions where I would not show up for this particular studio recording. It's not negotiable. You don't grow a business or a podcast or any other mechanism without keeping commitments to yourself. Like, that's the basics. Keep commitments to yourself. When no one's looking, nobody knows that I'm sick today. My team knows that I've got a little bit of I'm fighting a little something. Nobody's going to hold me accountable. So I have to hold myself accountable, right? My mentorship group, my advisory group, my mastermind, they're not going to hold me accountable for shooting this show today. I'm showing up because I said I would, and because this message was so important to get to you, right? Along the way, when you're making it happen, celebrate small wins. You're never going to know what the destination looks like because the success lies in the journey. We've all heard this. Success lies in the journey, not the destination, because once you get to the place you thought you wanted to go, your aspirations would have led you somewhere else. And as I think Lao Tzu said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. 1,000 miles, just imagine. And it begins with one step, not just for you, but for me and for anyone in life who you look up to and respect, no matter what field of endeavor that they're in. The goal is, don't be afraid of imperfect action. There was one of the conversations that had to do with customer acquisition, because the expertise is there, the business model was there, the service was there, the way to deliver the result was there. What was missing was the ability or the plan to acquire new customers. And that is where you just need to get that plan in place and execute. You find the person who's done that before, right? And then you just do what they said do. So listen, this is a talk about mindset. This isn't about going to get a business license. This isn't about going to get a domain name. This isn't about where you're going to host your website. It's not about setting up social media profiles. But this conversation today is about the biggest shift that will get you closer to where you want to be. And that is how you think. It's not about what you do. It's about how you think. Are you willing to rewire what's going on so that you can get the thing that you said you want? All right. You have to start seeing yourself as a business owner. You have to start seeing yourself as an entrepreneur. You have to see yourself in a new world outside of being an employee. You've got to begin to embrace uncertainty. In fact, right now, when you leave your house and go to work, if you happen to still do that, many of us still work from home, don't leave the house as much. But if you get in the car, you are leaving in an uncertain situation. You don't know if the traffic's going to get you. You don't know if you're going to get backed up behind an accident. We live with uncertainty every single day. This is no different. Okay. When you do encounter problems, challenges, or roadblocks, just remember that they're there to help you grow through something. Grow through something. Roadblocks and obstacles may mean turn around and go a different direction. It may mean pivot. Most of the time, it's there to help you grow through something. Okay. So this is about the mind. I'm going to leave you with one of the comments that I gave one of the people that prompted me to do this episode today. And I find this very common. And that is, and I'd like you to do this over the next 30 days, sometime in the next 30 days, if you haven't done it already. And I got coached through this in 2000. I was at a pivot point at around 2004, 2005, somewhere in that neighborhood. I've always had coaching now since my early 20s. Mentors and coaches, and whether I paid them or they supervised me or whatever, I've had mentors, and thank God I did, because Lord knows I wouldn't be here to this day without them. I don't have time to shout them all out right now, but it's definitely more than 20 for sure. Here's what I would challenge you to do. And that is, take out a notebook, set aside some time. By the way, set aside some hours. Get away from your office. Get away from even your family. Go to a coffee shop. Go to the lake. Go up in the mountains for a few hours. Go to the park. I remember doing this one time at the park, just getting some coffee and taking some lunch and just sitting in the park one time. And I have a frequency of doing this, every couple of years. And just start writing. If I was self-employed tomorrow, if I owned my own business tomorrow, how would I want my day to look? How would I want my business to run? How would I want to serve my customers at the highest level? How would I like to acquire customers the most efficient way? What would I like my family to benefit from? Am I going to be home for dinner? So many times people start businesses and they think they have to start, dissing their family. I'm not suggesting you don't have long hours and things to do, but I will tell you that you have to set some intentions and get clarity around what you want before you can ever get help from a coach or a mentor and get a plan of action. Get clear, right? When I made a transition, and I remember I'm going to shout out Coach Kevin Kevin McGovern. He walked me through this exercise, and I had to get clear on when I was going to be home for dinner, get clear on when I was going to take vacations, get clear on when I was going to take calls, when I was not going to take calls. And we really got clear. I got clear on, and he helped me get clear on what I wanted my life to look like around the product, service, and vision I wanted to deliver to the marketplace. Without that clarity, you can't go very far. I want to leave you with this thought, and that is, if you are itching to do something special in this world as an entrepreneur in a business, the world is waiting for your offer. The world is waiting for your clarity. The world is waiting for you to show up. The world is waiting for you to make peace, make the decision, make a plan, and then make it happen. It's not about being ready. It's about being willing. And look, one of my favorite quotes of all time is, sometimes you have to believe in the belief that someone has in you until your belief kicks in. And my friend, I believe in you if no one else does. If you haven't hit the follow or subscribe button and you would like more content like this, I would invite you to do that right now. My name is Darrell Evans. You've been listening to the Mindshift podcast. And until next time, shift your mind so you can shift your results. Take care. Hit the subscribe button so you can become a part of the Mindshift community. We'll help you shift your mind so you can shift your results.